So a few months ago, these iPhone standby docks went viral, getting 1.7 million views on YouTube. They were very popular, and they were a 3D printed part designed by Scott U. John. Now, Scott decided that it was probably a good idea to turn these into a real product, something that could actually be sold and used throughout the world, because it's an awesome product. They look amazing, they're designed beautifully, and there's a fantastic video production around them. So how would you actually do this? How do you turn a 3D printed project into an actual product when you have the opportunity? Well, this is actually the perfect product to talk about, especially with today's video sponsor, Teleport, which allows us to produce these on demand and add in things like chargers without actually having to own a print farm yourself. But more about that a little bit later. The first thing we want to talk about is there any demand? Do people actually care about the thing that you wanted? Will they see it? Well, again, like we said, Scott got 1.7 million views. There are not that many people out there who are interested in 3D printed items. Those are people who are interested in real items, items that they can actually own and actually want to use and that look great. These, even though they're 3D printed, are fantastic. You cannot see layer lines. They look beautiful on the table. They have great function from the ejection button. They are an item that you actually want. But if you want to verify demand, what you want to do is have a simple ask from all the people who are watching your videos. Basically, you want to ask for an email or a sign up of some sort. Will they actually do something in order to get access to this? So in order to do this, you'll actually want to have a website. That is the main thing that you need here. Now, this can often be intimidating to people because with a website, you're always wondering which website should you actually use. Shopify? Maybe you actually want to use Squarespace. There's a lot of YouTube videos about them. Or maybe you're already using something like Wix. Within all of these, Shopify, you actually probably don't want to use. That is for large numbers of products, all kinds of large volume, that kind of thing. If you're going to list like 20 items or something, that's what you want Shopify for. Squarespace is fine. It's pretty quick and easy. You are a YouTuber, you're an artistic person. This is pretty good for your type of personality, quite frankly. It's an easy drag and drop. Wix is also really good. They have lots of templates, and you can basically create a landing page real quickly with Wix or Squarespace and get going. So if you don't already have a website, you can set one up really fast and, like I say, put in a sign-up page. You're trying to get people's email so that you can notify them when your product comes available. So you collect a whole bunch of emails. These are the things to store. If you get a lot of these, then you have a real product. People are interested in actually ordering this when it's available. Now you need to go into actual design. Very often, YouTube designs are incomplete, sort of needing some refinement and that kind of stuff. So you refine and iterate. While doing this, you need to make sure that you don't get into the 99% perfect problem. This can be all kinds of issues. Don't do that. You want to just get the product up to where it's good, where it's reliable. It'll never be as good as what you want it to do. Just make sure it's as good as what a customer expects. And you will find that out when you start to actually sell it, but get it out the door. This design was originally just very good. It looks great. You might refine some simple things around manufacturability and just make sure that it is actually manufacturable. Because what folks will often do is they will design the piece, but then they'll have some dirty little secret where they shoved a bunch of glue into the bottom or something like that, or impossibly wound the cable in some direction. And they won't actually be able to sell that as a product because there's just fundamental issues with it that were okay for a video, but not good for a final person. You might also go through and refine the actual slicing of it to where you have like a textured surface and that kind of thing, or refine the feel of the button on the back. But basically go through, refine the design, make sure it's finished, make sure it's good. You also want to design for cost. This is something that many people do not do. This means chamfer the first layer. We have whole videos about this. Minimize surface area and reduce size. Make it smaller, make it lighter. Less infill. These are all things to do to try to remove it, to simplify this down. Rather than having a great big old chunky thing, make it simpler. This is actually very well optimized because you just have a nice simple outer surface, the slots where they are. You don't want to create a lot of complex interior geometry because that can add cost and print time to the part. It also adds material. If you can have as close to a sphere as you possibly can, that's what you want to have. Do not add extra stuff to it. So we've gone through and we've verified demand by having some email signups. We've verified the design and made sure it's actually able to be made. Now we actually need to create a listing. Now, a listing is very interesting because a lot of people actually get this wrong. Do not use renders. A lot of people are tempted to do this when they design a 3D model. Oh, I'll just grab a render of it and run from there. That's not what you want to do. Renders are lying to the customer. You've made a video about this object. Make some more videos. Get some screenshots from the video. That is as much of a product listing as you need. The video tells what it is and how it works so well. You can then take the transcript from the video, and if you're really lazy, you can take the transcript and put it into ChatGPT, and it will create an actual product listing for you with a description and all the information that you need. This needs to include things like shipping time, cost, of course, your return policy, and we will actually talk about this one a little bit more. But the basic product listing can be created by ChatGPT, and you can just say, hey, imagine you're creating a product copywriter and you're creating a product listing. Take this transcript and convert the item that we're talking about inside of there into a product listing, and it will pull out main points and that kind of thing and create all the text that you need so you don't have to worry about writing it. So use a bunch of screenshots from your video to create the product images, and then use ChatGPT to create the product listing. And now you don't have to worry about, oh, is it good, bad, or indifferent? You're actually able to deal with it. The big thing with product listings is actually be honest. Don't try to hide anything. Don't try to cover anything. Do it just like you do one of your videos. Be you. Be true. Do not try to obfuscate or hide anything here. Be clear about what it is. So with Scott's item, he ended up creating a whole bunch of different variations of this to where there were all of the iPhones with cases all resized to create them. And those all create different prices and different variations. But showing that those are available is really important so that people are clear about, oh, I'm going to buy this and it will actually fit my phone. So now we've gone ahead and finished up the listing. We've been honest about it. We've created the photos and the product listing using ChatGPT. Literally all of this stuff, this took about 30 minutes to get set up. If you had to build a website, it took a little bit more, but again, you can use templates there. The design itself, this will be some hours. You'll spend some time here, but then the listing itself, again, about 1 to 2 hours to really refine it, pull out the screenshots that you like, maybe do some editing in Photoshop or something if you really want to. If you want to do it quick and dirty, you can just pull screenshots from the listing. So this can happen fast. But now you actually have to get this item made. Now that the designs are all done and they're ready to be made, how are they going to be made? How do you actually do this? Now, you can go the DIY route, but now the problem is it is all your fault. Everything that goes right or wrong is your fault. You have to learn how to do it. And with 3D printed items, this means you have to build a print farm. You have to know what the best printers are. You have to run it all, or you can have someone else do it. And this is good, and there's easy ways of doing this, but now again, you're doing discovery on a person. Are they able to meet the demand of the orders that you have coming in? And you can estimate this from your email. Are they actually able to make it to the quality that you want? And that will vary from one manufacturer to another. Do they have the color that you need? So on and so forth. But there are also another sort of option. Very often this is somebody hiring a print farm and saying, hey, make 500 of these things for me. But there is another option, teleport. And I hate to say only teleport, but there is no other service like this. This plugs right into your store. You do not have to do anything here. You create your website and then you create your listing and then you match up the files to SKUs inside of the listing. And a SKU is really just a name like, oh, iPhone dock _ gray, something like that. That would be a SKU name. And then you could do like iPhone 15 dock _ gray, that kind of thing. So those are SKUs. But with teleport, you upload the SKUs and then you match a file to each one of these SKUs. So you have the SKU plus the model. It takes like 3 minutes to create a match. And then even though they have 15 or 20 versions of this for all the different iPhones and their covers and all the rest of it. All of them are able to be uploaded, matched to a SKU, and then whenever an order comes in, this would be printed and shipped to them. And Teleport currently actually has third-party parts included. So they can also say, hey, print this file and throw in this charging dock along with it. So now Scott doesn't have to worry about sourcing these parts and pieces. They don't have to worry about printing it, and they don't have to worry about scale because Teleport has hundreds of machines underneath it. So even if they got like 1,000 orders in a day, they would still be fulfilled in a few days or so without any sort of issues. And again, you get sourced to all the charger. If you were doing it DIY, you need to store up all the filament. You need to store up all the machines. You need to store up and source all the parts, which you might not know where to find them, or you end up buying them off Amazon, which means you're losing money. If you're using someone else, you have to circle through services and make sure they're reliable, check all their references, make sure they're making it the way you want to. With Teleport, you can order some sample pieces, verify that they're good, and then just match it all up, and then it becomes totally passive. With the service, you almost end up shipping it yourself anyway, because you'll have them make like 500 parts, you store them up, you assemble them, you box them up. This is great if you want to keep your own branding. Both of these are great for your own branding, but Teleport lets you scale up quickly and not have to worry about a lot of the problems. Now, the downside of Teleport is that you don't have control of branding and that kind of thing. So you don't get to choose custom packaging, but you can hack around that by like printing little cards and sheets that explain what to do and how to do it. And again, people will go to your website to learn how to assemble these. This is kind of a downside. This assembly is not done through a service like Teleport. This charger is thrown in the box with the 3D printed pieces. But now you have the opportunity to do like what IKEA does. People at IKEA love the products more because they get to build them themselves. There is more ownership of this, and it becomes way more homey and efficient. Teleport is also great because you don't have overproduction. When an order comes in, you pay for that item, and the item is made. There's no excess cost or anything else, so it's really easy to control and to grow in that direction. So that's how you get it made. You figure out how you're going to get it made. Are you going to do it yourself? Are you going to have a service make a bunch of them for you? Or do you use a print-on-demand option like Teleport? Now you need to talk about pricing. How much is this going to cost? What are you going to charge people? Well, it requires all of these things to be done before you can actually do that. Pricing is one of the most difficult ones that people come into because they're often unaware of what something like this should cost. This is an invention. This has not existed anywhere before. So what does a wireless iPhone standby dock actually cost? Well, the good news is that you have the costs to make. The supplier will supply it to you. If you do it yourself, you need to figure out what the cost of the materials are inside of here, and then all of your time, and then what your rent is, and what the amortization of the machine is. Or with the service, they'll tell you what the cost of it to make is, and they'll say, this costs 15 to 40 bucks to make, or whatever it happens to be. Inside of Teleport, when you upload this 3D model, you will immediately get a quote for that 3D model. And of course, you will know exactly what the cost of this little charger is if you want to include it. So let's say the charger costs 10 bucks, and this thing costs $25 or $35 to print, depending on what your settings and materials are. So we'll just say 40 bucks to make. Okay, fine. It costs 40 bucks to make. Now, what can you actually charge for it? Well, this type of item, we know that it's an iPhone accessory. This could be sold for $99, which means that Scott would be earning $59 for each one of these that is made, even regardless of what the cost to make is. So it can be sold for this amount, or he can decide to make it more affordable and sell it for like $69, and that's okay too, and it still works. But now you're not dealing with returns and you don't know what it might be. The general rule that I use for folks is there's the cost to make plus 25 to 30%. At least. This is the minimum equation to use. So if it costs $10 to make, then you need to sell it for at least $13. That's what you got to do. That's 25% right there, $13. That's what you need to do in order to make a living with it, because you can make 25% off your videos and that kind of thing, even if you are doing something like an affiliate or making a video for someone through a sponsorship. This is what you need to bill in order to pay your bills, to pay the rent and everything else. So cost to make plus 25 to 30%. If you have an item though that is premium, like this one, you can do so much more. And that is not an unfair price because this item never existed before. Someone who made a YouTube video with a cool thing never had the chance to just upload the models and then sell the actual prints before without having to set up a print farm themselves. So this is now a new thing that never existed. And quite frankly, if it doesn't sell, you can always reduce the price over time if no sell. That's an easy thing to do. It's way tougher to increase the price if people are happy with it and buying way more than what you can handle. But again, that's a reason to use a service like Teleport so that you have access to large production volumes and you don't have to worry about pulling back. But you can start with real pricing. And to have a wireless charging dock for an iPhone, the iPhone costs $1,200 to $1,500. A really nice charging base for it that costs $99 is not unreasonable for an iPhone user. Now you have to have some context around your items. If you're trying to sell a paperclip, well, you can't sell that for that much. But always make sure that you're maintaining at least 25% and maybe even go up to 50%. This is if you want to start selling it in stores. If you want to have an item that you sell around and don't just sell for yourself, you need to have 50% because the store will take 25% also. So there's all these dynamics around business, but as a baseline, if you have some cost to make it, whatever that may be, add 25%, and that is the minimum price that you charge for that item. But remember that the price is not why people buy it. This is a really cool object. It looks amazing. It has 1.7 million people on YouTube alone watching it. Instagram got way more. So there is value to this. And in order to make it valuable, it also needs to be charged appropriately. You need to make sure that pricing reflects value. If you made this item just $13, that would be a terrible price. No one would buy because it would seem like it's a little cheap piece of 3D printed stuff. But if you make it $99, now it becomes valuable. It becomes on brand for something like an iPhone to where people are like, that's an object to be appreciated and that is beautiful. So this is the one you want to do for. It gives you way more flexibility long term because you can actually make enough money from it to continue to be interested. People burn out and stop running their businesses because they're not making enough financial incentive from it. It has to be interesting to you to where it's worth running this business. You have to set up a website. You have to do product listings. You will have to answer emails with questions from customers. Now, with things like Teleport, you don't have to worry about the printing and shipping and that kind of thing, but you do have to worry about the rest of the operations. All right, so we went ahead and figured out pricing. Make sure you're at least adding 25% on there so that it stays reliable for you, but charge what you can to make sure that the product is valuable to people. Now you're ready for the launch. And this is the exciting moment. You've done all the work. You've made the tweaks to the design. You've verified people actually wanted it. You made a product listing that is honest and clear and shows what the item is. And you figured out how to get it made. You might use a service. You might make it yourself, or you can use something like Teleport that prints and ships it for you, including parts for you. So you don't have to worry about all that stuff. So the launch. This is where you get to use those emails that you collected. Everyone who was interested, everyone who wanted to know about your item when it became available is now able to be notified that your item is available. So if you had 1.7 million views, that should turn into thousands of emails that you have collected by now. That is really, really important because there are people who are interested in your thing and want to know about it. So you create an email and you send it out to all those people. You can use MailChimp, or again, whatever your website is that you used will have email inside of it. You let them all know and then you get your orders. I recommend using pre-orders for the first launch, because this gives you some flexibility on launch time so that if you get 100 orders, ship fast. But if you get 10,000 orders, a couple of weeks is okay, and people are all right in that. So make sure to use pre-orders right at the launch. Once it stabilizes, do print and ship after it's all stable. In addition to the emails, though, you will also want to actually make a video about it. Talk about it. Share what you're doing. Tell about the process. This is the easiest time to show why this is valuable and what went into getting it made. And it very often is just a very good video. Right now, we're breaking down Scott's item that he's been making, and now other people can learn from that experience and what happened. So do the video, make sure it's as good as it could possibly be, and launch that. It doesn't have to be on your same channel, but it might be on Instagram. If you think it's outside of content of your normal channel, go to some other platform so people know. But again, really use the emails, because that's the main form of communication and is not intrusive and is perfectly fair to everybody. The other way of introducing your product and kind of launching it is put it as a sponsored spot in one of your videos. Say, hey guys, instead of a sponsor this week, my item is here. This way people are connected to it. Like they're already fans of you. Having your own product in a sponsored spot of the video makes total sense. And it's not egregious or weird or bad. You're promoting your stuff and people will trust it more than some VPN or whatever else it was. And this also gives you a lot more freedom into the future because you are no longer dependent on VPNs or sponsorships. You can focus on your YouTube because your items are made by your YouTube. You're monetizing it not only through ad dollars, but through your own items that you control and can kind of twist the spigot of demand by including more sponsored spots and that kind of thing. Or if a sponsor doesn't show up, you can fill it in with yours and you have much more future stability. So creating your own product as a YouTuber is really, really useful because it gives you so much more stability and control over what you ever had before. And again, you can change this design over time, evolve it, make it better, create more SKUs. And as you create those items, those become more videos. So it can be a really good way of feeding on each other to where the products lead to videos and the videos lead back to products. And then you have this virtuous cycle that allows you to continue to make a living. And again, it is passive. You are able to create the designs as part of the video, launch them on your website, and then have them printed and shipped by someone else so that you don't have to worry about it. And all you have to do is figure out how to make products that are valuable enough for that all to work. Don't get caught in the pricing of trying to make a paperclip. You don't want to do that. These are the type of products that you want to create. Really beautiful premium items that have added value and can use third-party parts to create something that is useful to people and in a brand and in a niche where you can create a lot of value. Because selling one of these things for $99 is perfectly reasonable and is a really great profitable way to create an awesome product for customers and for your viewers, let them connect with you more, and make sure you're able to continue to make videos by actually profiting from this rather than trying to cut out the minimum that you possibly can and creating something unsustainable. So if there's anything I would want to take away from this video, it's go make something. It is so easy to take a product from a concept like a project and actually turn it into a real product. You no longer have to build the factories. You don't have to worry about shipping. You can just upload a model and get it sent out. So I recommend checking out teleportpod.com and see if you have a product or design that you want to try out, because now all you have to do is upload it and all the manufacturing and shipping is handled for you. You can create awesome things and grow your audience and create a real connection and real good products without having to worry about all the infrastructure and the back end. Build a website, make something, upload it, and go. Have a great day, everybody.